Let's continue our discussion on refraction. In the last lectures, we studied about the reflection. We have introduced the laws of the reflection, the sign convention regarding the direction of ray of light. And then we have derived certain equations. Okay, so uh, let us continue the discussion on ray optics by introducing the new phenomena by the name called refraction. See, reflection and refraction are the basic phenomena of light when they travel from one medium to other medium. Reflection means it falls on the medium. If it goes back to the same medium, then we call that phenomenon as a reflection. Okay, if light falls on the medium, if it goes to the other medium, then such kind of phenomena we call it as refraction. See, for the refraction, you require two transparent mediums. See, already when we have the transparent medium, that is the air. Okay, the air itself is the vacuum itself is a transparent medium. If I have the other transparent medium like glass, okay, it may be the water, it may be the diamond, it may be some crystals. Okay, these are the transparent mediums here. So let me assume that there are two transparent mediums in nature. Definitely one transparent medium is the surrounding air medium, and the second one may be a water glass like this. The other conditions may also be there. Okay, if the glass is in water, then the light may pass through glass and water, both are the transparent medium, then also the refraction take place. See, let me assume that there are two transparent mediums are there. So let me call this as medium number 1. This is the medium number 2. So this is the path of the light. We know that the light travels in a straight line, the rectilinear propagation of light. See, the light falls on this the interface between medium 1 and medium 2. Now this point is called point of incidence. This particular point is called point of incidence. In reflection, we studied that this optics is basically it is studied in terms of angles. Okay, we have the basic angles here, and angles are measured from the normal, and normal is nothing but it's an imaginary line. It's the imaginary line which is perpendicular to the surface. We call it as the normal. So see here. Okay, so some normal is there. So what is normal? The line which is perpendicular to the surface. Okay, you can see here there is some normal is there. So this particular angle is called angle of incidence. So this is the angle of incidence I. Okay, so after this phenomena, okay, so when it falls on the interface between the 1 and 2, if it goes back to the same medium, that is medium 1, then we call that phenomena as reflection. Instead of going to the first medium, if this light travels from one medium to the other medium, is some deviation. Now you can see here, in the absence of this second medium, this may be the direction of incident light. Are you getting me? So this may be the direction of incident light, but due to the presence of second medium, light has, now you can see here, light has deviated from its original direction. You can see here. This is deviated here. And definitely this ray is called, now again there are two rays here. Now this is called incident ray as usual. This one is normal. This is called angle of incidence. Now this phenomena is called refraction. Therefore this ray is called refracted ray. Okay. So in this case, in this particular case, we call this ray as the refracted ray, and this particular angle is called, you can see here, this particular angle is called what? It is represented by R only, but this time it is not angle of reflection. This time we call it as angle of refraction. Okay, so you have the angle of incidence and you have the angle of refraction, and you have, if I call this point as PQ, PQ is your incident ray and QR is called the refracted ray, and I is called the angle of incidence and the R is called angle of refraction. Okay, so anyhow, so based on this picture, I can say that now this particular phenomena is called refraction. Okay, but we know that the reflection and refractions are the systematic phenomena. They obey certain laws here. As we studied in the last lectures, we know that if the phenomena is called reflection only when it obeys the laws of reflection. Like the first law says that your incident ray, normal and reflected ray must lie on the same plane, and your second law says that the angle of incidence should be equal to angle of reflection. If these two laws are satisfied, then I can say that the light has, okay, so light undergoes reflection. Similarly, if I want to say that now this particular uh, ray, okay, light ray is undergoing refraction, then it should obey the laws of refraction. Okay, then only we can say that yes, this phenomena is a refraction. Again, we have the two laws here. Laws of refraction. The first law. Okay, the first law is same as that of your law of reflection. The first law says that the incident ray, normal and refracted ray must lie on the same plane. Okay, all these three lines, the incident ray, the normal and refracted ray, they should lie on the same plane. For an example, this is plane of the board. Okay, you can see here, so in this plane of the board, I have incident ray, I have the refracted ray and normal. All are lying in the same plane. Okay, if this refracted ray is somewhere in this particular plane, then I can't say that this is a phenomena of refraction. This may be some other phenomena, like it may be a scattering, something like this. Okay, so for the refraction to take place, what does this first law says? First law says that the incident ray, the first law says that the incident ray refracted ray, refracted ray and normal normal must lie on the same plane, must lie on the same plane. That's the first law. Okay, same as that of your law of reflection. The second law is, second law, the most important one also. Okay, so it's given by the Lord Snell's, therefore it is called Snell's law. Okay, you will have this derivation in case of wave optics by using the wave front theory. We can have, okay, we are going to derive the laws of refraction as well as the reflection. Okay, but you have to wait for the wave optics. So originally it is given by Lord Snell's, therefore this law is also called as Snell's law. The Snell says that, he says that there is a fine relation between I and R here. In case of reflection, what is the relation between I and R? I should be equal to R. Okay, whatever may be the angle of incidence, that should be equal to angle of reflection. If your angle of incidence is 20, your angle of reflection is also 20. If your angle of incidence is 30, then angle of reflection is also 30, like that. That is the relation between angle of incidence and angle of reflection in case of reflection. Okay, so now here is also in case of refraction, you have the relation between I and R. It is not, okay, it is not a very simplest one. You can't say that I is equal to R, I is equal to R square. Okay, so Snell's has made a large number of experiments. He has interpreted its result, and finally he has given the relation between I and R. According to Lord Snell's, he says that the ratio of, now this is very interesting, the ratio of sine of angle of incidence, ratio of sine of angle of incidence to the sine of angle of refraction. Okay, so we are using some sign here. It says that the ratio of sine of angle of incidence to the sine of angle of refraction is constant is constant for a it is not a universal constant. Okay, universal constant means it is constant in each and every case, each and every time. Okay, each and every place. Now it is called the universal constant, like the gravitational constant. The value of capital G is constant. It is independent of the space, it is independent of the time, it is independent of the object. Now that remains same. Okay, but there are certain other constant also that depends on the parameters, like their dimensions, their medium, like this. Okay, therefore it is not a universal constant. Is constant for what? When it is constant for a given pair of media, that means this constant depends on these two mediums for a given pair of media and for a given wavelength given wavelength. That means what? Now see, we are using some light here, we are using some monochromatic light here. It may be red color, it may be blue color, it may be green color, whatever may be the color, definitely it undergoes the refraction. But the value of that constant, if you take the sin I by sin r, but it also depends on the wavelength of the light used. Okay, so first let me write in terms of mathematical equation. The law says that the ratio of sine of angle of incidence, that means what? Sine of I. Okay, the ratio of sine of angle of incidence to the sine of angle of refraction, that means sine r. Sine I by sine r is what? Is constant. Okay, so this is nothing but your second law of refraction. The law says that sin I by sin r is constant. That means what? If you increase the angle of incidence, simultaneously the angle of refraction also increases. Okay, so if you I increases, r also increases. But if you take the ratio of sin I by sin r, it is not I by r. Okay, you are taking the help of a sine function. Okay, the relation between I and r, it depends on the sine function. But if you take the ratio of sin I by sin r, that ratio, it remains constant and is not a universal constant. Now this value of constant, it also depends on the pair of media, these two media. For an example, if I take the medium 1 as air medium and medium 2 as glass, okay, both are transparent mediums, definitely light passes from air to glass. So if you take the medium 1 as air and medium 2 as glass, then the value of constant is something around 1.5. Okay, you can experimentally verify it, okay, during your lab experiments. Okay, you are going to find the value of constant for the glass. Or if the medium 1 is air and medium 2 is glass, then the value of constant, whatever may be the value of I, you have the corresponding value of R. But if you take the ratio of sin I by sin R, that remains the constant and is equal to 1.5. If it is water, okay, if it's water, if your second medium is water, then the value becomes, so if this is what? Now if your second medium is glass, then it is 1.5. If your second medium is water, then instead of 1.5, you will get 1.3. That means sin I by sin R remains constant. How much? It is 1.3. First time it is 1.5, now it is 1.3. 1.5 for what? 1.5 for air and glass medium, and 1.3 is for air and water. Okay, so that is the meaning here. So it depends on given pair of media, and it is also for a given wavelength. Okay, if it's a blue color, okay, then it is something around 1.56. If it is a red color, the value changes to something around 1.54. Okay, so there is constant, no doubt, but it also depends on the color. That means if you keep the pair of medium same, and if you take this, the wavelength is also same, then if you take the ratio, then that ratio remains constant. Okay, now this is very important constant here. Okay, now this decides the value of, okay, the magnitude of refraction in case of the phenomenon here. Okay, so now first of all, let me again go through the first law and second law. The first law says that incident ray, refracted and normal must lie on the same plane. The second law says that the ratio of sine of angle of incidence to the sine of angle of refraction is constant for a given pair of media and for a given wavelength. Okay, so now this constant is a very important constant. We call this constant as refractive. Okay, it is belong to the refraction topic here. Refractive index. Definitely it gives some value here. It is a refractive index. I can see that now it is a unitless quantity. A quantity is only index, it is a unitless quantity. Why it is a unitless? Now you can see here the sine of angle, sine of angle. Okay, if you take the sine of theta, you know that the sine of theta has no unit, sine of r has no unit, so no unit divided by no unit. Again, you have the no unit here. Okay, so it is a unitless, a dimensionless quantity, refractive index. Okay, so this constant is called refractive index and it is represented by n, small n. Okay, we are using small n for the representation of refractive index. But the refractive index, that constant, what? The constant depend on the mediums. Therefore, if I take this medium as 1, okay, this medium as 2, okay, we always take the medium in which the incident rays are present, we take it as medium 1, and we take the medium where the refracted rays are present, we call it as medium 2. So therefore it can be written as n21. Okay, so we are writing like this, n21. How to read this one? Very simple. You see, refractive index depend on the mediums. Therefore, I am mentioning that it depends on n21. That means refractive index of second medium with respect to the first medium. Okay, we have to read like this. Refractive index of second medium with respect to the first medium. Okay, practically if I take air and glass, then I have to read like this. Refractive index of glass with respect to air. Okay, you have to mention like this. So you are getting something 1.5. What is 1.5? You have to say like this. 1.5 is nothing but refractive index of the glass with respect to air medium. Okay. Are you getting me? So refractive index. But now see here again we have. Okay. So refractive index means we have two cases here. Okay. So there are two refractive indexes are there. One is called relative refractive index. Relative refractive index. One is relative refractive index and second is called absolute, and the second one is called absolute refractive, and the second one is called absolute refractive index. You have the two refractive index are there. The definition remains same, the sin I by sin r, but depend on the mediums you have the two refractive index. See, practically we know that our medium one is always a air medium, vacuum. Okay, air or vacuum. Okay, so now see here, if the first medium is vacuum or air medium, then see what you say that. So we say that the refractive index of glass with respect to air, it is 1.5 like this. Usually we call this refractive index as absolute refractive index. Are you getting me? Out of two refractive index, out of two mediums, if the one medium is your vacuum, then you call that refractive index as absolute refractive index. What is meant by relative refractive index? Now see here, if this if the both mediums are, see, okay, see, if the both mediums are different, that means no air or vacuum is present. For an example, this is water, the first medium is water and the second medium is glass, then usually you call this one as the relative refractive index. Okay, there are two, you are relating glass with respect to water with respect to diamond, like this. Therefore, it is called relative refractive index. Okay, if the both water and glass, how will you read like this? So it is written as the refractive index of glass with respect to water. Okay, something like this, 1.5 divided by 1.3, you will get something like this. Now this refractive index is called relative refractive index. Okay, out of the two mediums, if the one medium is your vacuum, then usually it is called absolute refractive index. Okay, so now this is about refraction and the loss of refraction and the ratio of sin I by sin R, that will give us what we call it as refractive index. Okay, so let me, okay, before going into this some discussion of actual phenomena, let me take some the relations between and R with respect. Okay, so I have to take one more angle here. Okay, so I have to mention the, so you can see here in this particular diagram, you can mention the one more angle. Now you can see here this particular angle. Okay, you can see here, this one more angle is there. See, so this angle is nothing but the angle between the direction of incident ray and the refracted ray. Definitely we call this angle as angle of deviation. Okay, this is deviated. Okay, so you are moving like this towards the north, but now you are moving towards the northeast with an angle of 30 degree. Okay, you have some deviation. You are deviated from your path with an angle of 30 degree. Now that particular angle is called angle of deviation. Okay, it is called angle of deviation. Okay, so this is D, I and R. Totally there are three angles are there. Okay, so this is what, this is the one, this is two. Okay, so let me take the both mediums are other than air medium. Okay, but usually why we introduce the absolute refractive index? See, by referring to some books or by making some experiment, we can directly find the absolute refractive index. For an example, the absolute refractive index of glass is 1.5. Okay, we simply write it as Ng. That is understood. What? Your other medium is air medium. Okay, we simply write Ng. Now this is, if you write simply Ng, then it is called absolute refractive index. Now this is the refractive index of glass with respect to what? Definitely it is with respect to air medium. Okay, so this is refractive index of glass. What is the absolute refractive index of water? That is 1.3. Okay, absolute refractive index of your diamond is, the highest refractive index for diamond, it is 2.25. And what is the absolute refractive index of air medium? Very simple, it is equal to 1. Okay, why it is Na equal to 1. Okay, reason is very simple. You can see that. What is absolute refractive index of air medium? That means your second medium is air. What about the first medium? Say you are talking about the absolute refractive index. Therefore, your first medium is also an air medium. Both mediums are same. Okay, you can see that. You can see here. Okay, if the both mediums are same, then definitely light has the property of rectilinear propagation. Light bends only when the medium changes. Okay, if the medium changes, then only the light bends. Otherwise, in an homogeneous isotropic medium, that means if the medium is same, then the light travels in a straight line, the rectilinear propagation of light. Okay, if this is also an air medium, then definitely light moves like this. Okay, if the light moves like this, then you can see that this is I, this angle is also I, your R is also I. Therefore, sin I by sin R, sin I by sin R. Okay, instead of R, again I write sin I only. Why? Because the angles are same. Therefore, sin I by sin I is equal to 1. Therefore, the absolute refractive index of air is 1 and this is the least one. Okay, so refractive index is minimum is 1, that is for air and vacuum. Air or vacuum. Definitely it is vacuum, that is 1. For the air, you are getting something around 1.003, something like this. But usually we neglect that quantity in, okay, in case of theory or practicals, we assume that the air and vacuum are, they are same. They are having the same refractive index, that is equal to 1. But okay, but in reality it is not true. Okay, there is slight difference between air and vacuum. Okay, so this is least is for air, and practically, okay, so the highest is for the diamond, that is 2.25. Now this is called absolute refractive index. Okay, so if I take N1, if I mention N1 as the absolute refractive index of the first medium, N2 as the absolute refractive index of the second medium, and N21, what is N21? N21 is nothing but it is called the relative refractive index. N1 and N2 are called, N1 is the absolute refractive index of medium 1, N2 is the absolute refractive index of medium 2, and this is called relative refractive index. Okay, it is the refractive index of second medium with respect to the first medium. Okay, simply we write like this, N2 by N1. This simply written as N2 by N1. Okay, so you can easily prove it, N2 by N1, the relative refractive index of second medium with respect to the first medium can be written as absolute refractive index of second medium divided by absolute refractive index of the first medium. Okay, so that is nothing but what does this Snell's law says that, see, we have this derivation, don't worry. Okay, in way optics we are going to derive that sin I by sin R is equal to N2 by N1. Okay, so in this particular lecture I am directly, okay, introducing the Snell's law to study the ray optics here. So the Snell's law says that the sin I by sin R is constant, and that constant is nothing but the refractive index, the relative refractive index, then it is N21, that is called N2 by N1. Therefore, mathematically we can write like this, sin I by sin R is equal to what? Is equal to N2 by N1. Okay, sin I by sin R can be written as N2 by N1. Okay, so sometimes simply we write like this, N1 into sin of I. Okay, if I take the terms on the other side, N1 into sin of I is equal to N2 into sin of R. Okay, somewhat it is easy to remember. N1 into sin of I. What is N1? The refractive index of the first medium. And what is I? I is the angle in that medium. Okay, therefore I can say that the refractive index of the medium multiplied by sine of angle in that medium is equal to refractive index of the other medium into sine of angle in that medium. Okay, so sine of N1 into sine of I is equal to N2 into sine of R. Okay, so it is very easy to remember. Okay, so now this is the relation about sine of I by sine of R can be written in terms of absolute refractive index as N2 by N1. Okay, now see here. See, now I have to write the relation between D, I and R. Okay, for that, let me take two cases here. Why two cases? Because there are two mediums are there. Okay, so one may be denser, second may be rarer. So let me take the case number one as, okay, when light travels from let me take the first case as rarer medium to denser medium, Okay, when a light travels from rarer medium to denser medium. What is meant by rarer and denser? You know that the density wise, okay, you can the classify the material. So now it is actually it is not absolute, it is some relating. Okay, for an example, if you take the okay, glass and water. Okay, if you take the glass and water, you know that the glass is more denser compared to water. Okay, if you are relating glass and water, you know that the glass is more denser, it is having the more density compared to water. So who is denser? Glass is denser, and who is the rarer medium? Water is the rarer medium. Okay, But if you take the diamond and glass, okay, if you take the, okay, so if you're relating the diamond and glass, then who is harder here? Diamond is harder. And who is rarer? Definitely the glass is rarer. So diamond become denser medium, glass becomes rarer medium. Okay, so glass is denser when it is compared with water. When it is compared with a diamond, it becomes a rarer. Okay, therefore this denser and rarer are the relative terms. Okay, so it is only a comparison. For an example, when light travels from, okay, if this is air medium and if this is and second medium is glass, then you can say that the light is traveling from rarer medium to denser medium. Okay, or if this is glass and this is one is a diamond, then you can say that it is traveling from rarer medium to denser medium. If you take this one as water, this one as glass, then you can say that it is traveling from rarer medium to denser medium. Okay, so this is our first case. Okay, case number one, I can say that when it travels from denser medium to rarer medium. Okay, now see, when light travels from rarer medium to denser medium, then what happens? Now see here, n2 is greater than n1. Somewhat the refractive index is related to the density, not 100% actually. Okay, but again you have this fine relation. Okay, in the V optics here. So more is the density, more is the refractive index. The simple logic. More is the density, more will be the refractive index. Okay, glass and water. Who has more density? The glass has more density. Who has less density? Water has less density. Therefore, the refractive index of glass is 1.5 and water is 1.3. Okay, so more is the density, more is the optical density. That is, the more is the refractive index. Okay, therefore, light is traveling from rarer medium to denser medium. Therefore, the refractive index of N1 is less than N2. Are you getting me? Okay, as the density goes on increases, the diamond has the most denser material. Okay, it has the highest density, therefore it has got the high refractive index. Okay, so yes, n2 is greater than n1. You can see here, if you look at the relation here. Okay, so sine I, so what does the Snell's law says? Sine I by sine r is equal to n2 by n1. You can see here, if n2 is greater than n1, that means what? Your n2 is greater than n1. That means numerator is greater than denominator. Okay, numerator is greater than denominator. See, you can see here, the Snell's law says that the ratio of sin I by sin r should be equal to n2 by n1, and our condition says that n2 should be greater than n1. Okay, so this takes place only when your sin I is greater than sin r. Is it correct? Okay, if your n2 is greater than n1, that means what? Your sin of I should be greater than sin of r. You know that the sine function. Okay, how does the sine function behaves? If the angle increases, the sine of the angle also increases. Not in case of cos. In case of cos, as the angle increases, the cos of the, okay, now cos function corresponding to that angle decreases. But in case of sine, it is not true. As the angle angle increases, the sine function also increases. Therefore, if the sine I is greater than r, that means what? Your I is greater than r. Okay, your I is greater than r. That means when light travels from denser medium to rarer medium, your sine of angle of incidence should be equal to sine of angle of refraction. Therefore, I should be greater than r. So now this diagram is correct. You can see here, if this angle is I, so this is normal. Okay, now this is an undeviated direction. Therefore, this angle also becomes, I can see here. So in the absence of the second medium, this would have been the direction of incident ray. Therefore, this angle is nothing but, if this angle is I, this angle is also I. Why? Because the opposite angles, and this angle is nothing but D. So you can see here, the I I is greater than, you can see here, the I is greater than R. Okay, therefore, so in case of ray diagram, while you are drawing the ray diagram, okay, for the particular case here, when light travel from denser medium to rarer medium, you have to bend your refracted ray towards normal. Okay, so refracted ray should bend, your refracted ray, it should bend towards normal. Okay, it should bend towards normal. If this is not true, if it is not bending towards the normal, if it is moving like this, you can see here, then R is greater than I here. Okay, so for that particular condition has to be satisfied, your I should be greater than R. That means what? This refracted ray should be towards normal. Okay, so refracted ray bend towards normal. And what is the relation between di and R? You can see that. You can see here. So this is I. This is I. So you can write I is equal to what? I is equal to, can I write like this? I is equal to d plus R. You can see here. This total angle is I. So this angle is d. This angle is I. If we add d plus I, then you will get R. Therefore, what is the formula for angle of deviation? Angle of deviation in this particular case is I minus R. Okay, so what is the angle of deviation? Your angle of deviation is I minus R. So this is the first case. Okay, so this is the first case here. So this is N1, this one is N2. In the first case, your light is traveling from denser medium to rarer medium. Okay, so let me take the case 2 here. Okay, so case number 2. Case 2. Okay, let me take the case like this. When light travels from, when light travels from denser medium. Okay, this time we travel from denser medium to rarer medium. Okay, so denser medium to rarer medium. That means this time your first ray is the denser, and the second ray is the rarer. Okay, that means what? That means your N1 is greater than N2. Okay, N1 is greater than N2. Okay, now this is the second one. When light travel from denser medium to rarer medium, that means N1 is greater than N2. Again, the law of refraction says that sin I by sin R can be written as N2 by N1. You can see here this time N1 is greater than N2. That means your denominator is greater than numerator. Okay, if N1 is greater than N2, simultaneously that means what? The sin of R, is it correct? Sin of R should be greater than sin of phi. Okay, this equation equals, if sin I by sin R is equal to N2 by N1, if N1 is greater than N2, okay, this equation becomes equals only when you take the sin R is greater than sin I. That means what? This time your R is greater than I. Okay, so you have to draw the figure in such a way that your angle of incidence should be less than angle of refraction. Now see here. So how to draw the ray diagram now? You can see. So this is normal. Okay, so this is normal. So this is your direction of incident light in the absence of second medium. Okay, so light would have been travel in this particular direction, but it is deviating. Okay, deviating means either it can bend towards normal or it can away from the normal. See, this time your R should be greater than I. Okay, so this R becomes greater than I only when, if I draw this ray in this particular direction. You can see here. So this is what the angle between refracted ray and the normal is nothing but angle of refraction. You can see that R is greater than I. Is it correct? Okay, so this is your what? So this is your, this is I, this angle is also I. You can see here R is greater than I, and this is nothing but deviation, angle of deviation. Okay, is it correct? Okay, so now see here. So therefore, so light should what? So okay, so R becomes greater than I if, okay, this condition is satisfied only when light is bending away from the normal. Okay, if it bend away from the normal, then only your R becomes greater than I. Therefore, we have to, okay, in future ray diagrams. Okay, so when we take the topic of refraction, the movement of light from the traveling of light from one medium to other medium, then we have to remember these conditions here. Okay, when light travels from denser medium to rarer medium, you have to draw the ray diagram in such a way that the refracted ray should move away from the normal. Okay, therefore refracted ray, so I can say that the refracted ray, it should bend away from the normal, bend away from the normal. And what is the okay, what is the relation between, what is the formula for I now? You can see here, R is equal to what? This time R is equal to I plus D. Is it correct? So R is equal to what? R is equal to I plus D. Therefore, you can write D as, this time D is equal to R minus. Last time what is the deviation? It is I minus R, because I is greater than R. So this time the deviation is given by R minus I. Okay. So whenever the refraction takes place, refraction is nothing but, okay, it's the bending. Okay, so the deviation of light, when light travels from one medium to other medium, the light deviated either towards normal or away from the normal. It depends on the, okay, the mediums here, but definitely the light deviated. Okay, if it move from rarer to denser, then it is I minus R. If it is moved from denser to rarer, then I can say that D is equal to R minus I. In general, we can say that, what is the formula for I? I is nothing but D is equal to I difference of R. What's meant by difference? That means whichever may be the greater, you have to just minus it. Okay, I minus R or R minus I. And we are interested in the angles here. Okay, so D is equal to I difference of R. So what is the angle of deviation? It is the difference between the angle of incidence and the angle of refraction. Okay, so now this is the basic idea about refraction and the Snell's law here. Okay, in the next lecture, let me take the phenomenons regarding the refraction, like the lateral shift, the normal shift, and there are certain natural phenomenons like, okay, the twinkling of the star or the total internal reflection. Now, these are the fine example for refraction. Let me continue in the next lecture. Thank you.